Hello! In this video, I will be talking about 700 plus mushrooms, which is kind of insane. But first, I will talk about what mushrooms are, how they reproduce, their taxonomy, their health potential, and then I'll go through roughly 700 plus mushrooms. What are mushrooms? Mushrooms are basically the fleshy spore-bearing fruiting body of a fungus. They are produced above ground, on soil, or on their food source. Fungi are the actual organism itself. They break down dead material. That's what separates them from us and plants. The mushroom is just the fruiting body of that fungus, but the real bulk of the organism is the actual fungus itself. How do mushrooms reproduce? When a mushroom reaches its final form, it will find a way to release its spores. Its spores are like seeds in a way. When they go out in the air, if they land on the right environment, another version of that mushroom will pop up. How it does this is pretty simple. The spores will grow into a network of threads of hyphae. Hyphae are branching filaments that make up the mycelium of the fungus. Once the mycelium colonizes the soil, if the environment is right again, then the mushrooms will pop up. Mycelium is literally everywhere. In fact, there is 8 miles in 1 cubic inch of soil. Every time you walk on soil, you're walking on mycelium. Mycelium has a huge, vast network everywhere underneath the soil. Since mycelium is everywhere, all you need is a healthy lawn, dead decaying matter, enough rain, a warm temperature, and mushrooms will pop out everywhere. It's why they're hotbeds, particularly for fields and golf courses. What does the taxonomy of mushrooms look like? There are a lot of mushroom species and genuses out there, and you will find out there are ones that I will talk about that were only discovered 3 years ago. People are discovering new species every day, which is cool as hell. However, the taxonomy of mushrooms can be quite complicated. They are in the same domain as us. In fact, they are more related to us than plants, but they're separated by a kingdom called fungi. Within that kingdom of fungi, there's a subkingdom, and within that subkingdom, there are 2 specific phylums, Ascomycota and Basidiomycota. This is where 100% of mushrooms are. All the mushrooms I will talk about will come from these phylum. They have to. Let's skip these and go down right to the genus. When we say the scientific name of a species, it's genus followed by the species. So when I go through all these mushroom species, you will see it's genus followed by its species. Now, scientists generally group genuses by common species, right? It makes sense. However, some species don't have common traits, so it gets complicated. And also, like I said, because new species are being discovered, it can throw the whole family, the class, the whole order, the whole genus entirely off. Scientists are always changing genuses and species and what families they belong to. Because of this, right now, as it is, the genus and the species are correct, but in the future, they most likely won't be. So if I can try, I'll go by its nickname instead. Here is a rough chart on how mushrooms can be classified, and if you pay attention, you will see some of these different characteristics throughout this video. Underneath the caps, there will either be gills, pores, ridges, or teeth. There are different types of gill attachments. There are different types of cap morphologies. The stems may or may not have stripes. Each mushroom will have a certain colored spore print. Each mushroom will have either a mycorrhizal, parasitic, or saprotrophic relationship with what it is growing on. Mycorrhizal relationships means that the mushroom and the plant will have a symbiotic relationship together where they both benefit and they're both happy. Parasitic relationships mean the mushroom will harm or kill the plant, so not good for the plant. Saprotrophic relationships mean the mushroom will just feed on dead stuff, which is probably the most common, and each mushroom will have a different edibility factor as well. You'll find out that mushrooms are quite complex. Some mushrooms can harm us, some mushrooms can help us, some mushrooms can harm plants, some mushrooms can help plants. Penicillin was one of the greatest health discoveries ever. It's a fungi that kills bacteria, and bacteria was one of the main deadly things that people died from. But because of penicillin, we don't have to worry about getting a cut and dying, which is amazing. But the bacteria have gotten stronger and more resilient to penicillin over the years because of evolution. So what scientists are doing is they're taking the bacteria, injecting it on fungi. The fungi, in response, then produce metabolites, and those metabolites kill the bacteria. It's kind of like a biowar going on between fungi and bacteria. But anyway, fungi also possess very promising biochemistry that could save us not just from bacteria, but also viruses and cancers. Viruses and cancers have caused enough suffering as it is. So to the physicians out there, to the people that work in creating medicine, medicinal fungi have the potential to save hundreds of millions of lives. These mushrooms may have numerous health benefits, whether it be analgesic, antibacterial, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, antioxidants, anti-tumor, antiviral, blood sugar, cardiovascular, cholesterol, hypertension, immune tonic, kidney tonic, liver tonic, nerve tonic, respiratory tonic, sexual tonic, stress, and vision. They might have anti-cancer properties that could be useful against bladder, breast, cervical, esophagus, gastric, leukemia, liver, lung, lymphoma, melanoma, ovarian, pancreas, prostate, rectal, colon, and skin. They might have antiviral properties that could be useful against hepatitis B, herpes, influenza, and the one we all know about, polio, rabies, respiratory syncytial, ralsarcoma, Tobacus mosaic, vaccinia, Varicella zoster, vesicular stomatitis, and HIV. They might have antimicrobial properties that could be useful against Aspergillus, Bacillus, Candida albicans, E. coli, Heliobacteria pylori, Klebsiella pneumoniae, Microchis, Microbacterium tuberculosis, Plasmodium proteus, Pseudomonas, Salmonella, Serratia macelsens, Shigella, Staphylococcus, and Streptococcus. And I am really bad at pronouncing, so I can't be sure that I'll pronounce those correct again in that same way. So to the scientists out there, please, please, please figure out if they can be beneficial for human health. Hundreds of millions of lives are affected by cancer. Hundreds of millions of lives are affected by viruses. Hundreds of millions of lives will soon be affected by bacteria. If you figure out how to eliminate these threats with properties from these mushrooms, you could save hundreds of millions of lives each year. We saw what penicillin did to bacteria. These fungi have went through like 1 billion years of evolution versus us, who only went through 200,000 years of evolution. So these fungi are resistant to things that we don't even have a resistance to. I'm asking you to please consider working and researching these mushrooms and how their properties can help and benefit the human species. If you're curious, the site mushroomreferences.com is a site specifically made for physicians and scientists because some of the mushrooms I will list will have supposed health benefits that may or may not be true, but we only know if it's true if scientists go out and actually conduct a lot of clinical studies. Just because I say it might have anti-cancer properties doesn't mean it actually does. I use the word might very carefully here. So this site is great because you can submit your papers or import your findings and share them with other scientists. And the more you keep doing that, the more of a shot we're all going to have for determining whether some of these mushrooms actually have real medicinal value that can be applied to save hundreds of millions of lives. Now, do not consume any of these mushrooms without approval of the medical institutions. I am not responsible if you eat mushrooms that are poisonous that the literature said was edible. All mushrooms affect everyone differently. Some people can have gastric upsets. Honestly, if you're not sure, don't eat it. Now, with all that being said, I don't got time to waste. I got over 700 mushrooms to get through, so let's go through them. Amanitas! Amanitas contain the most well-known, talked about, and recognized mushroom within all of mushrooms. Amanita muscaria, the fly agaric, the toadstool mushroom. It's the Alice in Wonderland mushroom, the Mario mushroom, the emoji mushroom. It's seen within Disney, it's seen within Smurfs, it's seen through many paintings, frescoes, and cultures throughout time. And of course, who could forget Santa Claus? Santa Claus is red and white. Amanita muscaria is red and white. Santa Claus lives in the North Pole. Amanita muscaria was used by Siberian shamans for thousands of years in the North Pole. Christmas trees, it grows under Christmas trees, which would also explain the presents under the tree. What about reindeer? Well, reindeer are only found in the North Pole, where coincidentally the mushroom is. They love it and they eat it. Is it a coincidence that Rudolph's nose is red and he guided his sleigh at night? I mean, the list just keeps going on, and it's completely mind-boggling. Am I suggesting that Santa Claus is actually a mushroom used by Siberian shamans thousands and thousands of years ago that spread as a myth that turned into a holiday that is celebrated every year, everywhere on December 25th? Yes. Amanita muscaria is also known for being psychoactive or poisonous, although the edibility is quite controversial, which makes it even more interesting. Muscimol is a nervous system hallucinogen. Ibosenic acid is another type of hallucinogen. Muscarine is a toxic hallucinogen, however, the levels are very, very low. But the things you will have to worry about are the muscimol and ibosenic acid. That is really what this mushroom is made up of. And these two psychoactive chemicals have a certain experience that is still trying to be understood by science. If you have too much ibosenic acid, you could have seizures and throw up. If you have too much muscimol, you could have an unpleasant visual experience. And also, a bunch of uncomfortable effects happen, like repetitive motion syndrome and temporary insanity. And if you get them at the right amount, it can supposedly be good for you. In fact, they're being tested in clinical studies in many conditions relating to stress, inflammation, and mental health. Further studies are being conducted on how these chemicals relate to overall human health. If there are any real positive effects in certain quantities, it's still being determined. There might be some other things about this mushroom that might or might not be true. It could enhance dreams, which would explain the Alice in Wonderland effect, down the rabbit hole, which is really, really cool. It could give you a feeling where you're giant and everything slows down, which would explain the Mario effect, which is really, really cool. It's still being all studied though. Biochemistry can be a little complicated. So, to the biochemist out there, figure out what muscimol and ibosenic acid do to the body and the brain, figure out which amounts are good for you, and figure out the health benefits, the side effects, and the potential hazards. Oh yeah, and Amanita muscaria's nickname is fly agaric because it can be used as pesticides to kill flies. It's probably the coolest fly trap in the world. For whatever reason, flies are attracted to this chemical within the mushroom, and they try to get to that chemical and they die consuming the ibosenic acid. So that's great. Amanita perskinia, otherwise known as the peach amanita. I actually found this mushroom. It has the same chemicals as Amanita muscaria. I found it growing under a conifer tree. It has a mycorrhizal relationship with this tree where they both benefit, which is really interesting, which pretty much all amanitas do. Here it is dried up. It looks really cool, but the deer usually get to this mushroom before I do. I always see a deer poop right by them, which is not a coincidence. They'll go crazy for it. The gem-studded amanita. This one is potentially deadly. Unlike the other two, this supposedly has a lot more muscarine, but I need more information and I need biochemists to do more work. Amanita pantherina, otherwise known as the panther cap. This one supposedly has 5 times the amount of muscimol and ibosenic acid that Amanita muscaria has, and again, almost no muscarine. So 1 Amanita pantherina is like 5 Amanita muscarias. We've talked about muscimol and ibosenic acid before. You have to be really careful with this mushroom. A lot of dogs have died eating Amanita mushrooms like these, so be careful and watch your dog. Ringless panther. This one is inedible, which either means it's indigestible or no information exists regarding the edibility. Amanita polyphria, or the gray-veiled amanita, which is also inedible. The warted amanita, which the edibility is controversial. The grisette, which I also found, the edibility is controversial. Caesar's mushroom is edible in choice and it looks beautiful. It isn't known if it was actually eaten by Julius Caesar. However, it is believed that the mushroom was eaten by the early rulers of the Roman Empire. It is found throughout the hills of northern Italy. It is very colorful and pretty, and I really want to try it. I mean, look at that red and yellow blend. Oh, and you also have the American Caesar mushroom, which is edible in choice too. Amanita phalloides, the death cap. This is the most famous deadly mushroom ever. Even though it'll kill you, the victims say it supposedly tastes really good. So it is literally to die for. How does it kill you? Well, the mushroom has amatoxins, phallotoxins, and virotoxins, although the amatoxins is really what gets you. Alpha-amatin is a particular amatoxin, and basically, you know what enzymes are? Well, you know what cells are? Well, cells are everywhere within the human body, and they have to function in order to sustain the organs. Your organs are like your brain, your liver, your stomach. They help you live as a human being. enzymes basically process chemicals to make the cell function so that the organ can function better, so it can do its job. So there is one organ that's really, really important. I mean, they're all important, but it's your liver. Livers remove toxins from your body. Without it, you would die. What alpha-amanitin does, it's an amatoxin, it goes to your liver and it stops the liver cell enzyme from functioning, thus killing the liver cells. Because tons of liver cells are being killed, the organ is dying. Because the liver is vital for human survival, if you consume too much of this mushroom and you have too many amatoxins in your body, your liver will be toast. And without a liver transplant, you're dead. Believe it or not, there is a mushroom that has toxins that are possibly even worse than this, but that's in a different genus. And any destroying angel, any death cap have amatoxins, and even some in different genuses. Oh yeah, and it also attacks your liver too, which also removes toxins from your body, so a pretty evil mushroom. Some notable victims or supposed assassination attempts with this mushroom include the Roman Emperor Claudius, Pope Clement VII, and the Home Unruly Emperor Charles VI. And that's not the only death cap. You also have the East Asian death cap, the Latin American death cap, the East Asian brown death cap, and, well, actually, the false death cap, which doesn't have amatoxins, but it's inedible. So, destroying angels, what a great name. They're basically white mushrooms that will kill you. You have different types too. The Eastern destroying angel, or the North American destroying angel, the Western destroying angel, the Guangzhou destroying angel. Well, I guess that's the Asian version. The European destroying angel, the Spring destroying angel, which is another European version, the Great Felt Skirt destroying angel. They all have amatoxins. Outside of the destroying angels and the death caps, you also have Amanita smithana, which will kill you, Amanita spheribosa, which will also kill you. So that's fun. So to make sure to watch out for those white mushrooms, because it's usually the white mushrooms that can kill you. Agaricus bosporus. This little white mushroom here is the most popular and widely consumed mushroom in the entire world. Yeah, welcome to mushrooms. It's also known as the button mushroom. It's put on pizza, noodles, sauces. It might have antibacterial, antioxidants, and anti-cancer properties that could be useful against breast, prostate, and Helicobacter pylori. I love the sauce with noodles. It's cute. It looks like little buttons, and there's a huge cultivation farm in Pennsylvania. I love it. The horse mushroom, which might have antibacterial and anti-tumor properties, it's one of the most delicious of all edible fungi. The salt-loving mushroom is also edible. The field mushroom, or the meadow mushroom, which might have antibacterial, anti-tumor, antiviral, cardiovascular, hepatitis B properties. It's also edible. The pavement mushroom, which is edible. It grows on pavement, but one of the problems is, since they grow on pavement, they often have a buildup of heavy metals. The prince mushroom is also edible. Crocodile agaricus, which is edible. God's mushroom. This might have antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, anti-tumor, blood sugar, cardiovascular, cholesterol, immune tonic, breast, cervical, liver, lung, ovarian, prostate, rectal, and colon anti-cancer abilities. So, hey, I mean, it's God's mushroom. It is edible, but the FDA has issued warnings to companies with unproven claims that it helps improve the immune system. It may have toxic effects on the liver, so hey, maybe it isn't God's mushroom after all. So scientists, research this. I want to see if God's mushroom is truly God's mushroom. We may got a controversy over here. You also have the poisonous versions. The flat top, which is poisonous. It's got yellow staining rhizomorphs at the base. That's a good way to tell if it's poisonous. Agaricus clavricus, which is poisonous. Agaricus hodanis, which is a skirt-like ring flares. Agaricus platatinuus, it has a ring. And The yellow stainer, which is also poisonous and also has yellow stains on its rhizomorphs at the base. Meat mushrooms. You have the beefsteak mushroom, which when cooked tastes like steak. It's edible, and a 2014 version was discovered in China. The chicken of the woods mushroom, which when fried looks and tastes like chicken. It's put in tons of dishes. It's beautiful and orange, and it might have antibacterial, antifungal, anti-tumor, blood sugar, and anti-cancer against leukemia sort of properties. And there's a bunch of other ones. Hen of the woods, which is the Japanese version of chicken of the woods. It's edible and tastes like chicken. It might have antibacterial, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, antioxidants, anti-tumor, antiviral, blood sugar, cardiovascular, cholesterol, hypertension, immune tonic, liver tonic, respiratory tonic, stress, bladder, breast, cervical, leukemia, liver, lung, prostate, rectal, colon, anti-cancer properties. Also called maitake. It's parasitic on plants, which is interesting, and tastes really good. But there are no completed high-quality clinical studies for hen of the woods as of 2019, so scientists, get on with it. Shrimp of the woods, also edible. Old man of the woods, also edible. Fried chicken mushroom, also edible. It might have blood sugar, hypertension, immune tonic, and liver tonic properties. Pig's ears, also edible, but it can cause allergic reactions, so be careful. The cauliflower fungus, which is edible. The wine cap, which is edible and has the cap of the color of wine. Bioluminescence. Bioluminescent fungi glow in the dark. Whoa! It's typically a greenish light. It can occur in the mycelium, it can occur in the spores, it can occur in the mushroom. Hell, it can occur in all three. Mycenia is the genus where a lot of them are. Mycenia pura bioluminesces the element boron. It's got a pink translucent look to it. Mycenia chlorophyllus emits a pale green light. Mycenia illuminans also emits a pale green light. Mycenia lazulien also emits a pale green light. Mycenia luxaturna emits a pale green light from its stalks, which is unbelievable. Too bad it's only found in Brazil. Mycenia singria also emits a pale green light, this time from its cap instead. You have the Halloween mushrooms, the jack-o'-lantern mushroom, which is bioluminescent and it's found in America and it's poisonous. The western jack-o'-lantern mushroom, which is also poisonous. The Europe jack-o'-lantern mushroom, which is bioluminescent and poisonous. The Japan jack-o'-lantern mushroom, which is also poisonous. The ghost fungus, which is bioluminescent and poisonous. And then to top it all off, we have the bitter oyster, which is bioluminescent. It's found in the Northeast and it's one of the most famous ones. I need to find this mushroom, cultivate it, and grow on trees, because imagine if it were just growing everywhere. You could light up a whole forest with just this mushroom. It's just amazing because it's oyster and it's just, whoa, I need to do this. I need to do a project like this. It just looks so cool. You also have the water drippy things going on with these other bioluminescent mushrooms. It just, a little watery, it just looks so cool. I love bioluminescent mushrooms. I need to look more into here. They just look amazing. Bolitas. Bolitas are big mushrooms. They contain some of the biggest mushrooms within all of mushrooms. They have big caps, big stalks, big pores. Most bolitas have been found to be mycorrhizofungi, which means they form a mutualistic relationship with the root system of certain kinds of plants, and they give plants the nutrients, and in turn, plants give them nutrients. And they're also big and funny looking, and I love them. Bolitas edulis, also known as sep or penny bun, it might have anti-inflammatory, antioxidants, and cardiovascular properties. This is the most famous bolita in the world. It's big and it tastes great. It's probably the safest mushroom to pick. There's barely any poisonous species that closely resemble it. They're big and they taste really, really good. It forms a symbiotic mycorrhizal relationship with the trees it's on so they can give nutrients to each other, which is a really sweet kind of a mushroom, wouldn't you think? You also have the slender red pored bolete, the red-capped butter bolete, the bronze bolete, the white king bolete, the Somerset, the pinewood king bolete, the deadly bolete, which killed someone and has a lot of muscarine, be careful, the bay bolete, the brawny bolete, the lurid bolete, the apple bolete, the bitter beech bolete, the white blood bolete, the whitish bolete, the red-stemmed bitter bolete, the dark-stalked bolete, the red-capped scabber-stalk bolete, the ghost bolete, the rough-stem bolete, the orange birch bolete, the foxy bolete, the powdery sulfur bolete, which is used in mushroom dyeing in Chinese medicine to treat lumbago and numbed limbs, the flaming gola bolete, the bitter bolete, which might have anti-tumor, antibacterial properties, the black velvet bolete, the false black velvet bolete, the bitter parchment bolete, the violet gray bolete, the pale bitter bolete, the reddish brown bitter bolete. And of course you have your jacks, which is another type of bolete, but they're kind of slimy. You have the slippery jack. Its cap is slimy in wet conditions. Look at that slimy, slippery, slithery, greasy, oozy liquid. The mushroom is edible and commonly eaten. And then there's the short stem slippery jack, the matte jack, the pungent slippery jack, the blue staining slippery jack, the painted slippery cap, and the slippery jill, as well as the chicken fat, Jersey cow, dotted stalk, and the Rebel's bolete. Corals. You've probably heard of coral in the sea, but I bet you never heard of coral on land. Well, they exist and they're called coral fungi. You have the yellow coral, the white worm coral, the smoky coral, the pink coral, the violet coral, which contains lectins, the spindle-shaped yellow coral, the yellow club coral, the beige coral, the red-orange coral, the pink-tipped coral mushroom, which is edible, the green staining coral, the black coral, the red coral, the sun coral, which is edible, the white-pink coral, the root coral, the fire coral, the fuzzy foot coral, the ochre coral, the bitter coral, the shangle coral, the wood coral, the yellow soapy coral, the salmon coral, the gelatinous coral. This one looks a little bit like cauliflower, so the cauliflower coral, the yellow coral, the fading pink coral, the pinkish whitish coral, the bloody coral, the straight branch coral, the lava coral, the wine staining coral, the white coral, the purple coral, and of course, poison fire coral, which is deadly. This is the most toxic mushroom there might be in the entirety of mushrooms. It has killed 7 people in Japan. It contains trichothecene mycotoxins. It's worse than the death cap. The death cap affects your liver and your kidneys. This affects your bone marrow, brain, and skin. Yeah, sounds more fun, right? It can also alter your perception and your speech. This might be the worst mushroom there is. The poison fire coral should be called the deadly fire coral because it can kill you in a really painful way. You also have coral spots, and speaking of coral and the sea, you have the Cithrella aquatica, which was the first ever gill-fruiting body mushroom ever discovered underwater. And guess when it was discovered? 2010. Oysters! Oysters are gilled mushrooms that grow on trees, and they are one of the most widely eaten mushrooms in the world. The oyster mushroom might have antibacterial, antioxidants, anti-tumor, antiviral, cardiovascular, cholesterol, and hypertension properties. It can treat soil that has been polluted with oil and convert that oil into non-toxic compounds, so it can filter oil and treat it. It's a filter, which is amazing. You also have the black jelly oyster, the elm oyster, the bitter oyster, which is the bioluminescent one we talked about, the late oyster, the mock oyster, the lung oyster, the aspen oyster, the king oyster, and the limestone oyster, which grows on limestone but it's critically endangered, the branch oyster, the golden oyster, the pink oyster, and the brown oyster. And last but certainly not least for this group, who could ever forget of the lobster mushroom, which is actually not a mushroom, it's a parasitic fungus that turns some mushrooms into a lobster-like color. So it's a zombie lobster. Lobster mushrooms are widely eaten, though the mushroom it is parasitizing would have to be edible. Chanterelles. Chanterelles are one of the most widely recognized and harvested groups of mushrooms out there. They are mycorrhizofungi, so they have a symbiotic relationship with plants. They have ridges on their hymenum, so a little different from pores or gills. The golden chanterelle is edible. The false chanterelle, the edibility is controversial. It is considered poisonous though. The amethyst chanterelle, the mud puppy or oak chanterelle, the Pacific golden chanterelle, the yellow chanterelle, the burnt chanterelle, the smooth chanterelle, the purple chanterelle, the blue chanterelle, which might have anti-tumor and bioactive compounds, which are very promising, the peach or pink chanterelle, the woolly chanterelle, the ghost chanterelle, which was discovered in 2013, which is not that long ago, the orange or velvet chanterelle, the black chanterelle or black trumpet, the yellow foot chanterelle, and the funnel chanterelle. Cordyceps. Cordyceps kills insects. That's how they reproduce, which is insane and really badass. They are endoparasitoids. They were in the Last of Us video game, sort of a human zombie version of that. Thank God that doesn't actually exist. There are over 600 species of cordyceps, and they might have antibacterial, antifungal, antioxidants, anti-tumor, antiviral, blood sugar, cardiovascular, cholesterol, hypertension, immune tonic, kidney tonic, liver tonic, respiratory tonic, sexual tonic, and stress. Apparently, they're also really good for pre-workouts. I will talk about two, Cordyceps militaris, which is currently being researched for its health benefits, and Cordyceps sinensis, now known as something different now. Scientists are always changing the goddamn genus on us. It's also known as the caterpillar fungus. It parasitizes the larvae of moths, caterpillars, and germinates in the living larva, killing and mummifying it, and then a dark brown stalk-like fruiting body appears and emerges from the corpse and stands upright. It's used in Chinese medicine and Tibetan medicine. It has displayed cytotoxicity against some leukemia cells, which is really, really exciting. Apparently, it's also quite crunchy. Because it's valued so much, people in China have killed each other over this, and it's a vulnerable species because it's so sought out for. Cups. Cup fungi are fungi that grow in the shape of a cup. Why cups? The spores are placed within the cup, and when it rains, the rain splashes the spores out of the cup, which is quite intelligent. The orange peel cup, the stalked orange cup, the dark brown cup, which is edible when cooked, the brown cup, the cellar cup, the domicile cup, the poop cup, which grows on cow dung, the saucer-shaped cup, the pig ear cup, the purple fairy cup, or the fireplace cup, the palomino cup, or recurved cup, the poisonous poop cup, which grows on poop again and is poisonous, the violet fairy cup, the black felt cup, the scarlet cup, the scarlet elf cup, the crimson cup, the stalked scarlet cup, the rosy brown cup, the rubber cup, the brown-ribbed elfin cup. Birds' nests. Birds' nests are cups that hold eggs that look like birds' nests. Now the eggs, those things contain the spores, so just like cup fungi, when it rains, the spores can pop out and they can reproduce, and the wind helps a little bit with that too, but they're quite complicated and complex. This one, particularly here, might have properties against Aspergillus, Bacillus, Candida albicans, and Streptococcus. Fairy rings! Fairy rings are mushrooms that grow in a ring or a circle, also called elf rings or pixie rings. In folklore, they can be linked with witches or the devil, so be careful. When they are picked, they can leave a little cool mark, which is cool, but if you ever dare go inside fairy rings, I cannot promise that you'll make it out alive. Here are some mushrooms that grow within fairy rings. We have the fairy ring mushroom itself, which is edible, the vomiter mushroom, which is poisonous, and the poison pie or fairy cakes, which is also poisonous. We also have mushrooms that are named after fairies, the stump fairy helmet. That's cute. It smells like chlorine because it can break down chlorinated compounds. So if you ever have a chlorine spill, here you go. There's also the bleeding fairy helmet, which when cut or injured, the mushroom oozes out a reddish latex. It's also got some biochemistry in it that might have anti-tumor, antifungal, and antimicrobial properties. And finally, there's the pinwheel mushroom, which looks like a pinwheel. Funnels! Clitocybe is a genus where mushrooms are shaped like a funnel, and they are known to occur in fairy rings. There's the ivory funnel, which has muscarine and it's poisonous. The fool's funnel, which also has muscarine and also poisonous. The field funnel, which also has muscarine and also poisonous. The common funnel, which is edible but not recommended, probably because it looks like the other funnels that are poisonous. It might have antibacterial, antioxidants, and cardiovascular properties. Alexandria funnel, which tastes really good. The bitter funnel. The cloud funnel, which is edible, and it might have properties against Mycobacterium tuberculosis. And the pinkish funnel. You also have some other cool mushrooms in the same genus. You have the wood bluet, which is edible. It's purple, and it looks lovely and gorgeous. That beautiful purple color, oh my gosh. And then you have aniseed toadstool, which is bluish-greenish mushroom, also edible. Web caps. These mushrooms can have a cortana veil between the cap and the stem, which is why they are in the cortanus, and they're called web caps. There's the fool's web cap, which is deadly. It has arylanine, which is a toxin that attacks your kidneys. The deadly web cap, which is also deadly. The splendid web cap, which is actually not splendid, it's deadly and it'll kill you. A gentilis web cap, which the edibility is controversial. There's only one way to find out, though. You don't always have to be a genius to contribute to science. The purple web cap. I want to lick it so bad. It looks like a lollipop. The edibility is unknown, but again, there's only one way to find out. The brown web cap, the white web cap, the skirt web cap, the black web cap, the variable web cap, the red banded web cap, the green skinhead web cap. The edibility is unknown. The edible web cap, which might have properties against herpes simplex, ralsacoma, tobacco mosaic, and Versilli zoster, the cinnamon web cap, the goat cheese web cap, the tawny web cap, the viscid violet court web cap, the bitter web cap, the frosty web cap, the blue foot web cap, the jammy dodger web cap, the yellow web cap, the blood red web cap, the violet web cap, the grassy web cap, the contrary web cap, the honey web cap, the birch web cap, the moon web cap, the crispy web cap, the elegant blue web cap, the bruising web cap, the Goliath web cap, the purple pouch web cap, the pelargonium web cap, the light purple web cap, the orange web cap, the steel blue Brizitz web cap, the violet web cap. Earth stars! Earth stars are mushrooms that look like stars made out of earth. You have the false earth stars, which some have mycorrhizal relationships with plants. There's the barometer false earth star. Here's a bunch of collections of them. They might have anti-tumor, antioxidants, and anti-inflammatory properties. Here's another false earth star. Here's another false earth star, which might have properties against Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Here's another false earth star, and here's another false earth star which was discovered in 2013. Here we have the real Earth stars. You have the triple Earth star. It's thought that this was used by the Native Americans for various medicinal properties. It might have antifungal properties. You have the rounded Earth star, which might have anti-inflammatory, antioxidants, and psychotoxic properties. The Rousey Earth star, the beaked Earth star, which, wow, looks like it has a beak on it. The tiny Earth star, the acrobatic Earth star, which is acrobatic. Wow, it might have antimicrobial properties. And the fringed Earth star, or sessile Earth star. Speaking of stars, we have the devil's cigar, or Texas star, which this mushroom is only found within certain parts of Texas and Japan, which is actually kind of a mystery. Why would the same type of mushroom species only be found in two distinct areas? Well, they've done genetic testing and the two populations apparently have been separated for at least 19 million years, so that rules out human intervention, and that's fascinating as hell. Holy shit. Earth balls. Well, we just talked about Earth stars. Now let's talk about Earth balls. Earth balls are mushrooms that look like if the Earth made a ball. There's the star Earth ball, the common Earth ball, which is poisonous. This other one right here, this Earth ball is poisonous. This Earth ball right here is poisonous. Here's another Earth ball, the scaly Earth ball, and then you also have the Earth fan fungus. Puffballs! Speaking of balls, let's talk about puffballs. Puffballs have a unique way of transporting their spores. Their spores are emitted when the mature fruit body bursts or is impacted. You can also squeeze them to get their spores out, which I want to squeeze one. You have the common puffball, which is a good edible mushroom. Here's a bunch of them. They might have antimicrobial properties and antifungal properties. You also have the brain puffball, the purple puffball, the giant puffball. Wow! You have the pyramid puffball, the western giant puffball, which is huge, it's big, it's so big and edible. You also have the brown puffball, the pottery puffball, the sculptured puffball, the giant pasture puffball, or the leathery puffball, or the tough puffball, the mosaic puffball, which might have antimicrobial properties, the spiny puffball, the umber brown puffball, the fluffy puffball, the grassland puffball, the chalk puffball, the peeling puffball, the smooth puffball or soft puffball, the dusky puffball, the meadow puffball, the stump puffball, the pine puffball. There's also stalk puffballs or stalk balls, which are puffballs that have stems. There's the sand stalk ball. There's the scaly stalked puffball, or sandy stilt ball, or desert stalk puffball. There's the gelatinous stalked puffball, which kind of looks like a rose, and then there's the deep fried stalk ball. Fingers. These ones are a little bit creepy. You have the dead man's finger, the dead mole's finger, the candlestick fungus, the candle snuff fungus, or carbon antlers, or the stag horn fungus. It contains lectins and it might have anti-tumor properties. Hedgehog! Hedgehog mushrooms form teeth rather than gills, which hang down from the underside of the cap, like spikes. There's the hedgehog mushroom, which is a really good edible, the giant hedgehog, the terracotta hedgehog, the depressed hedgehog, the scaly hedgehog, the bitter hedgehog. This one was discovered in 2018, which is only a few years ago. You also have your tooths, the blue tooth, the bleeding blue tooth, the velvet tooth, the rigid tooth, the pancake tooth, and the black tooth. Spiky and scaly. There's the shaggy scaly cap, the flame scaly cap, the prickly scaly cap, the golden scaly cap, the leaf scaly cap, the deer scaly cap. Then there's the scaly sawgill, which might have anti-tumor and immune tonic properties, and the giant sawgill. Honey mushrooms. No, it doesn't have honey in it, but it looks like honey. Armillaria are parasitic fungi. They cause white rot, root diseases in trees, and they can wipe out entire forests. And they don't care. They will kill your trees and your plants. They're ruthless. You have this honey mushroom. You have this honey mushroom, which might have antibacterial, antifungal, anti-tumor, antiviral, cardiovascular, hypertension, immune tonic, and kidney tonic properties. You have the humongous honey mushroom. It covers more than 3.4 square miles in a national forest found in Oregon. It is between 1900 and 9600 years old. You have to sort of wrap your head around that, and it is reported to be one of the largest organisms in the entire world. And it's also edible. You have this honey mushroom, which is also a humongous honey mushroom. One individual colony of this mushroom was found living in the Michigan forest, where it was reported to cover an area of 37 acres, to be 1,500 to 2,500 years old. The mycelium is known to be bioluminescent, and it's not known why, but I mean, look how goddamn cool that is. It's also edible. You also have this honey mushroom, where the mycelium of this fungus is also bioluminescent. You have the Australian honey mushroom, the marsh honey mushroom, and the ringless honey mushroom. Ink caps. Now they're called ink caps because this mushroom releases a black liquid that was once used as ink. You have the shaggy ink cap, or shaggy mane, which might have properties against Aspergillus, Bacillus, Candida albicans, and E. coli. The midden ink cap, the shaggy scaly cap, the desert shaggy mane, which was used as body paint by Australian tribes, and the shaggy parasol. There's also the mica cap, the humpback ink cap, which grows on herbivore dung, the common ink cap, which is edible but poisonous when consumed with alcohol, which don't give college students this mushroom. Then there's the gray shag, the harefoot ink cap, the magpie ink cap, and the scaly ink cap. Jelly. Jelly fungi look like jelly, and they feel rubbery and gelatinous. There's the staghorn jelly, which looks like coral, jelly rock, jelly drops, or purple jelly disc, tooth jelly, which is translucent and has teeth, black jelly oyster, the golden ear, which might have blood sugar, cholesterol, and immune tonic, liver tonic properties, the yellow brain, the brain jelly, which looks like a brain, leafy brain, snow jelly, which might have anti-aging effects and is a really good edible. There's Jew's ear, which might have antioxidants, anti-tumor, antiviral, blood sugar, cardiovascular, cholesterol, hypertension, and immune tonic properties. Why is it called Jew's ear? In 1880, a mycologist named Joseph Schroeder started calling this fungus Judas ear. Now, if you don't know, Judas was the one who betrayed Jesus Christ, and he supposedly hanged himself on an elder tree. Regardless, Judas ear somehow got changed to Jew's ear, and now everyone calls it Jew's ear. You also have cloud ear and cup jelly. Knights. Knights are white spored guild mushrooms which are found worldwide, generally growing in woodlands. They are mycorrhizal. There's the leopard knight. The cap looks like a snow leopard fur. It's poisonous. There's the bitter knight, the white knight, the dark scaled knight, which is edible, the dove colored knight, which is edible, the matte knight, the soapy knight, the sulfur knight, which is poisonous, the burnt knight, which is poisonous, the scaly knight, the ashen knight, and the scooty head or charbonnier. Milk caps. Milk caps exude latex when cut or bruised, so they're called milk caps. There's the saffron milk cap, which is edible, the false saffron milk cap, which is also edible, the indigo milk cap, the oak milk cap, the woolly milk cap, the ugly milk cap, the kindred milk cap, the golden milk cap, the earth milk cap, the bright yellow milk cap, the curry milk cap or candy cap, the yellow drop milk cap, the blushing milk cap, the sooty milk cap, the smoky milk cap, the coconut scented milk cap, the fenugreek milk cap, the lilac milk cap, the pale milk cap, the larch milk cap, the downy milk cap, the fire milk lactarius, the northern bearded milk cap, the bleeding milk cap, the rufous candy cap, the rufous milk cap, the bloody milk cap, the mild milk cap, the orange milk cap, the birch milk cap, the yellow latex milky milk cap, the yellow stating milk cap, and the velvety milk cap. And there's also the milky mushroom. Morels! Morels are some of the tastiest mushrooms in the world. If you haven't tried a morel yet, you have to. Fry it in butter and it tastes unbelievable. They kind of look like pine cones a little bit. Just like amanitas, they only grow by trees, so they're kind of hard to cultivate. Some species have a mycorrhizal relationship with trees. But first, there's the false morels. This false morel is toxic, although people still eat it. I don't know if they know it's toxic. It's still widely consumed despite people still dying from it. I guess it's to die for then. There's also this false morel, 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 and this false morel. Then we have the true morels. I think these are all edible. They taste really good. I love them. There's the true morel itself, which might have anti-tumor, immune tonic, and sexual tonic properties. There's the mountain blonde morel, the Prague morel, the blushing morel, the early morel, the black morel, and the Blackfoot morel, which was discovered in 2008. There's the American morel, which was discovered in 2012, the morel of steppes, the morel of dunes, the vulgar morel. This morel right here, I'm pretty sure I found this one. It was discovered in 2012. This one also was discovered in 2012. And also this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And what happened in 2012? I mean, the world did end, but mycologists did some more investigating on morels in 2012, and they must have discovered a bunch of species, is what I'm thinking, because you also got this one discovered in 2012, this one, and this one, and this one was discovered in 2014. Okay, so this morel right here looks a little reddish on the sides. This one more looks like a pine cone. This one grows in burnt forests, so after a forest burns down, like this one just pops out. Some morels are like that. The one I found was growing near firewood, and this one is found in the Rocky Mountains. Polypores. Polypores, or bracket fungi or shelf fungi, produce woody, shelf-like, bracket-like shaped structures that grow on trees. They are important agents of wood decay, as they play a very important role within forest ecosystems like nutrient cycling. Agarikon. Some pieces of agarikon were found on Ötzi, the Iceman. If you don't know, Ötzi lived 5,000 years ago and was frozen in the Ötztal Alps, and he was preserved with time. It was like opening up a time capsule, and some pieces of agarikon were found on him. Agarikon also might have anti-inflammatory, antiviral, blood sugar, and anti-cancer properties against breasts. Pliny the Elder might have mentioned agarikon in his writings. Shamans used this mushroom for healing practices and society rituals. The Squamish actually carved little creatures into them. They would hang these things wherever they slept to protect them from evil thoughts, kind of like a dream catcher in a way. They were also used to carry fire. They think Ötzi used this as a fire starter kit, and agarikon is now only found in the northwest now, so they think it's extinct in Europe, but it did have a history of use in Europe. It also might have antiviral activity thanks to work done by Paul Stamets, including cowpox, smallpox, respiratory diseases, including influenza, swine flu, avian flu, and maybe the one that screwed everything up. But like I said, it's endangered and it's only found in the Pacific Northwest. The tinder fungus or tinder polypore, which might have antibacterial, anti-tumor, antiviral, cervical, esophagus, and gastric properties. It can be used as a mushroom hat, and Ötzi was also found with this mushroom. There's also Fomes facitus and Fomes hemiferus. And then there's the birch fungus or birch polypore, which might have analgesic, antibacterial, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, anti-tumor, antiviral, cervical, melanoma, and ovarian properties. Ötzi was also found with this one too. Now, what is interesting is we're just now discovering these medicinal properties. This mushroom was found in his digestive tract, meaning he could have eaten this mushroom for medicine, which is fascinating that they might have known more about the environment in plants and mushrooms 5,000 years ago than we do now. You also have this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one, which might have antioxidants activity. There's also curry punk, the funnel-shaped polypore, which looks like a funnel, the umbrella polypore, which is edible and it might have anti-cancer and anti-inflammatory properties, the hexagonal pored polypore, which might have antifungal properties, this one, this one, this one, this one was discovered in 2004, this one, this one, this one, and this one, and you have the orange sponge polypore. Beetles seem to like to eat this one. There's the white cheese polypore, which might have properties against HIV. There's the sheep polypore, the fused polypore, the confluent polypore, the blue cap polypore, the greening goat's foot, the crested polypore, and the poisonous polypore. Studies found that it attacks and kills your gut bacteria, which is the good type of bacteria we need. There's the smoky polypore, the gray polypore, the giant mountain polypore, the orange striped polypore, which might have antifungal, anti-inflammatory, and anti-tumor properties. It looks so cool. Look at that orange blend right there. The thin mazed polypore, the giant polypore, which is edible, the dyer's polypore, which is used in dyes. Lingzi, also called reishi, is edible. There's Lingzi coffee. Lingzi has a long history use in China. Here's Teo Yunming holding some. There's noble polypore. There's this one, and red-belted conch, which might have antioxidants activity. There's the strawberry bracket. Now this one right here is insane. It might have antibacterial, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, antioxidants, anti-tumor, antiviral, breast, esophagus, leukemia, liver, lung, prostate, hepatitis B, herpes simplex, influenza, aspergillus, bacillus, candida albicans, E. coli, Mercoccus, Plasmodium properties, which is a lot, but it's also a lot of mites. There's also the split gill, which might have antibacterial, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, and anti-tumor, antiviral, cervical, and gastric properties. It might cause allergic reactions. It's eaten in some places of the world, so it's controversial. Fire sponge, which might have leukemia and liver properties. This one right here produced the largest fungal fruit body ever recorded, which is amazing. It might have anti-tumor, anti-cancer, and anti-inflammatory properties. The shaggy bracket, which might have anti-cancer, diabetes, and anti-tumor properties, also plant pathogen. And the rusty-gilled polypore, which produces brown rot. Pine trees. There's the pine mushroom, the pine wood mushroom, the pine cone mushroom, which is a mushroom that grows on a pine cone, and Jesus, that's a spiky mushroom. The pine cone cap mushroom, which might have antifungal properties and antibacterial properties, and the pine spike mushroom. Custard. I don't know if you've ever had custard before, but it's a very tasty dessert. These are the custard mushrooms. There's the plums in custard, the prunes in custard, and we're going to stick with the tradition of fruits that begin with P next to custard and call this one the plantains in custard, the peach in custard, and the pineapple in custard. Poop! This mushroom right here is called the horse dung mushroom, or as I would like to call it, the poop mushroom. Now, before you say anything, it might have properties against leukemia and melanoma. The edibility is unknown. Just kidding, it's inedible. Or is it? There's cramp balls, which might have fire lighting capabilities, the Indian paint fungus, which Plateau Indians tribes applied it to their skin to prevent chapping, this one, which might have properties against Aspergillus, Candida albicans, E. coli, and Micrococcus. And there's this one, which might have antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, antioxidants, anti-tumor, antiviral, blood sugar, immune tonic, kidney tonic, breast, cervical, and lung properties. It's parasitic and it has large concentrations of melanin, which makes some skins more darker than others. Psychoactive. Psilocin changes into blue compounds after losing hydrogen atoms and turns into psilocybin, which is a psychoactive drug. This is how we can tell if mushrooms are psychoactive. Now, the difference in this group is that some of the mushrooms here are psychoactive and some are poisonous, and the psychedelic group will only contain mushrooms that are psilocybin. Galerina. These mushrooms are not psychoactive. They are confused for psychoactive mushrooms. They are deadly. You have the deadly skull cap or the funeral bell, which contains amatoxins. They can kill you. They do not stain blue. Know the difference. This one is also deadly and it also has amatoxins. It's more toxic than the death cap. There's 14 reported deaths, so be careful. It's located here. Now, within the genus Inocybe, they're either toxic or psychoactive. There's literally no in between. Get ready. Inocybe ramasa is poisonous and contains muscarine. Green flesh fiber cap is psychoactive and contains psilocybin. The pear fiber cap is probably toxic. The white fiber cap is white and is poisonous. Inocybe gadia is poisonous and contains muscarine. Inocybe hamata is psychoactive and contains psilocybin. Inocybe hystrix is poisonous. Inocybe lacrea is poisonous. The frosty fiber cap contains muscarine and it's poisonous. Inocybe prativissa contains muscarine, it's poisonous. Inocybe ramasa contains muscarine, it's poisonous. Inocybe tricolor is psychoactive, it contains psilocybin. Inocybe tratis is poisonous. Then there's the laughing Jim, which is psychoactive, but it doesn't look like it, and people accidentally trip on this mushroom. The magic blue Jim, which is psychoactive. Ginopolis brendalii, which is psychoactive. The yellow gill Jim, Ginopolis lutuveris, which is psychoactive. The yellow gem, which is psychoactive. Ginopolis purpuritus, which is psychoactive. Ginopolis validipes, which is psychoactive. Ginopolis viridans, which is psychoactive. Plateus americanus, which is psychoactive. Plateus sinapus, which is psychoactive. Plateus salicinus, which is psychoactive. And I'm not going to say the rest of these because, but this one's psychoactive, this one's psychoactive, this one's psychoactive, this one's psychoactive, this one contains small amounts of psilocybin. This one is called mower's mushroom. I find these every summer in my lawn and they're everywhere. It's probably in your lawn too if you check hard enough after a rainy day in the summer. It's not psychoactive, and this one's psychoactive, and this one's psychoactive. Then there's deer shield or the deer mushroom. This one's psychoactive, this one's psychoactive, lion shield, and this one's psychoactive. This one is deadly, this one is psychoactive, and then finally, this one is psychoactive. Psychedelic mushrooms. Psychedelic mushrooms contain psilocybin, which gives you a hallucinogenic experience that is still trying to be understood by science. You'll find that psychedelic mushrooms aren't as new to us as you might think. You'll see that we actually have a long history with them, whether you like them or not. Psilocybe cubensis, or shrooms, magic mushrooms, golden halos, cubes, or gold caps. This is the most famous magic mushroom in the world. It's very easy to cultivate and it grows on cow dung, particularly in fields. Psilocybe alini was discovered in 2012. It grows on wood chips and sawdust. Psilocybe lutetia was discovered in 2006. It grows on cow dung. Psilocybe agudospora grows on cow dung. Psilocybe atlantis, not found in Atlantis but found in Georgia. It grows on grassy lawns. Psilocybe acalindia, only found in New Zealand. Psilocybe zoocorum grows in mountainous areas of central North America. Psilocybe azurescens, found in the west coast of the United States. There's bottle caps, knobby tops, bluebells, and olive caps, which grow on the west coast of the United States. Psilocybe banderillensis, which grows in Mexico. Psilocybe corellinulata, which grows in South America. The landslide mushroom, which is likely used by the Aztecs. Bluefoot mushroom, which grows in the eastern United States. Wavy caps, which grow in huge packs. Sometimes they grow in clusters of the thousands. It's been reported to grow all over the world. The blue-haired psilocybe, which grows in the west coast of the United States. Psilocybe fagicola, which grows in Mexico. Psilocybe fermentaria, which is widely distributed everywhere but not very common. And Psilocybe galantrinus, which grows in Puerto Rico. Psilocybe hispanica. Psilocybe hispanica solo se encuentra la España. No comprendo español. Lo siento. It is only found from the Pyrenees mountain range in northern Spain and southwestern France, where it grows in grass fields on horstone. In Spain, in España, there's a lot of prehistoric cave art from thousands of years ago, or miles de años. In this particular one, in the 6,000-year-old Cias Mil Años, Selva Pascuela rock art, as you can see, it looks like there are mushrooms, or champiñones. Because this mushroom is only found in Spain, they think this is the one they consumed. Then there's Psilocybe hamii, which is found in Mexico. Psilocybe hogoshini, which is found in Mexico. Psilocybe murray. So for this one, there's this place called Tassili Azure. There was this culture there 9,000 to 12,000 years ago, and this culture made rock art. And in some of these rock art paintings, it looks like they had mushrooms. I mean, look at that. They think this was one of the mushrooms that the culture was using. It's actually kind of a mystery. This mushroom is found within Morocco and Algeria. However, I struggle to find pictures of it. There's Psilocybe magnospora, which grows in Thailand on elephant dung. Psilocybe maceraria, which grows in New Zealand. Psilocybe medulosa, which grows in Europe. Psilocybe mescalerinus, which grows in New Mexico. Psilocybe mexicana, found in Mexico. This mushroom was known as the god mushroom to the Aztecs. It might have been served at the coronation of Aztec ruler Moctezuma II. The Maya also used this mushroom, maybe. They found mushroom stone effigies where the Maya culture was. Look at them, they look really cool, and they're dated around 3,000 years ago. Psilocybe mulacula, which is found in Mexico. Psilocybe avoidicidiata, which is found in the east and west coast of the United States. Psilocybe pugueña, which is found in Australia. Psilocybe peliculasa, which is found on the west coast of the United States. Psilocybe pseudosakuram, which is found in India. Psilocybe queabensis, which is found in Canada. And Psilocybe samusis, which is found in Thailand. There's liberty caps, which might have antifungal and antimicrobial activities. They're native to Europe and they're found everywhere in Europe. They're the most widely distributed psilocybin mushrooms, and they're one of the most potent. They're found within lawns and grasslands. There's Psilocybe cervica, which is found within Central Europe. There's Psilocybe stunsi, which is found on the west coast of the United States. There's Psilocybe suburginus, which is found within Australia. Psilocybe subtropicalis, which is found within Mexico, discovered in 1995. Psilocybe taminis, which is found within the southern United States. It's rare though. Psilocybe tasmania, which is found within Tasmania, which is south of Australia. Psilocybe burra, which is found within New Zealand. Psilocybe uganensis, which is found within the northeast and Central America and Mexico. And Psilocybe zibitrigum, which grows in clusters of hundreds and is found within South America. Roundheads. There's the redigrus roundhead, the red lead roundhead, the blue roundhead, the garland roundhead, and the questionable roundhead. Russulas. Russulas are common, large, and brightly colored mushrooms. They are one of the most recognizable mushrooms in the world, and they're also called brittle gills. There's the vomiting russula, which makes you want to vomit, but look how red and beautiful it looks. There's the grass green russula, which looks like the death cap a little bit, except there's no vulva. There's the boring white russula, the blackish purple russula, the gilded brittle gill, the birch brittle gill, the short stemmed russula, the humpback brittle gill, the yellow swamp russula, the crusty russula, the charcoal burner, the copper brittle gill, the milk white russula, the crowded brittle gill, the crab brittle gill or shrimp mushroom, Virginium scented russula, the stinking russula, the fragile brittle gill, the slender brittle gill, the greasy green brittle gill, the entire russula, the rosy russula. There's the russet brittle gill, the blackening russula, the beech wood cycner, the common yellow russula, the peach russula, the gooseberry russula, the parsley scented russula, the pancake russula, I named this one, the bloody brittle gill, I call it the apple russula, the changeable russula, the bare toothed russula, the velvet brittle gill, and the green cracking russula. Smut. Smut are crop pathogens, and because crops are a huge part of our agriculture, they are a huge problem. There's corn smut or sleeping excrement, which is edible, millet smut, wild rice smut, and wheat smut. Stinkhorns. Stinkhorns are stinky. Basically, the opposite of a flower, and a stinkhorn is everything. Their slime smells like death and dying, which helps it attract flies, which help spread their spores. There's the common stinkhorn, which might have anti-cancer, breast, cervical, and ovarian properties. That looks familiar. Where have I seen that before? Oh wow, there's slime there on top of it too, okay, and there's also the stinkhorn in Costa Rica, the stinkhorn in Nigeria, the netted stinkhorn, the dune stinkhorn, the crinoline stinkhorn, the yellow crinoline stinkhorn, the multicolored stinkhorn, Ravenel's stinkhorn, and the tropical stinkhorn. Clathrus, or stinkhorns part 2. The laceted stinkhorn, or the basket stinkhorn, or the red cage. Very beautiful and romantic, I must say. Or better yet, you have the octopus stinkhorn, or devil's fingers, which is just a stunning masterpiece. There's the Japanese version, which is yellow. There's a white version. There's the column stinkhorn, which is orange. There's the red sponge ball. There's another white version. And there's another white version, which was discovered in 2013. Bleeding. Now we're going to talk about bleeding mushrooms. They all produce this little red liquid. You have the bleeding tooth fungus, or strawberries and cream, or the devil's tooth. It might have antibacterial properties and Streptococcus anomiae. It's beautiful. Look at that red juice and blood. For some reason, I really want to touch it. It's used in mushroom dyeing. There's the mealy tooth, or reddish-brown corky spine fungus. I mean, look at that beautiful red juice. There's also the netted rhodotus, or the rosy vine cap, or the wrinkled peach. Look at that red jelly juice. I mean, look at that liquid. There's also the late fall polypore, or the benzoin bracket. I mean, just look at that red liquid right there. Truffles. Truffles are the tastiest mushrooms within all of mushrooms, and they're the most expensive mushrooms you can buy because they can taste amazing. They are put on so many expensive desserts and dishes, and I love them. They play a significant role in nutrient cycling and drought tolerance. They are mycorrhizal fungi, so they have a great relationship with plants too. I need to try all of these. There's the Burgundy truffle, or summer truffle, which is found throughout Europe. It's one of the most common truffles in the world. The whitish truffle, or Banchetto truffle, it's found throughout Europe as well. The Muscat truffle, or winter truffle, which is found throughout southern Europe. This one, which is found in the Pacific Northwest of the United States. The American brown truffle, or pecan truffle, which is found in North America, grows by the pecan tree. The smooth black truffle, which is found in Europe and central Italy. There's the white truffle, or the truffle of the White Madonna, which is the greatest truffle ever. It's the most expensive and sought out for. It's found throughout southern Europe, particularly Italy, and one large piece was sold for $330,000. So that's how good it is. Here are a bunch of other very large and expensive truffles. There's also the black truffle, which is also very expensive, and it's also found throughout southern Europe. There's the Oregon white truffle, which was discovered in 2010, which is unbelievable. There's false truffles, which suck. They don't taste good. There's this one, this one, this one, this one. This one is considered a delicacy in Japan. And then there's this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And then there's deer truffles, which are like a truffle-like species. There's deer balls or deer nuts. And then there's this deer truffle. Turkey tails! Turkey tails are polypores, but I decided to keep them as a separate section, and you're going to see why. Trametis versicolor, or the turkey tail mushroom. Now, get ready for this one. This mushroom might have antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, antioxidants, anti-cancer, anti-tumor, antiviral, cardiovascular, cholesterol, immune tonic, kidney tonic, liver tonic, breast, cervical, esophagus, gastric, leukemia, liver, lung, lymphoma, melanoma, ovarian, pancreas, rectal, colon, and skin, aspergillus, Candida albicans, E. coli, and plasmodium properties. Now, that's a lot. Paul Stamets' mother was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer, and the doctors only gave her a couple months to survive. And so she took experimental trial medicine, turkey tail mushrooms, 4 capsules in the morning and 4 capsules at night. And that was in 2009, and in 2011, she had no detectable tumors, and she's still living today. This mushroom looks very promising. As of 2021, the efficacy remains inconclusive, so come on, get to work, scientists. The FDA has issued warnings against companies that saying they're anti-cancer drugs. A lot of work is being done on this mushroom, and it's complicated work, but it's very, very promising. There's also Trametis trogii, Trametis butylina, which might have antioxidants, antimicrobial, and anti-tumor properties, lumpy bracket, and hairy bracket. And then there's this one, Trametis cubensis, and Trametis elegans. Now, we have the false turkey tail, or hairy curtain crust. It kind of looks like turkey tail. This one infects peach trees. This one's called the golden curtain crust, or false turkey tail. It might have anti-malaria activity. And this one's called the bleeding sterium. It causes heart rot. Here we have mossy maize polypore, which might have cardiovascular activity. It also contains the enzyme lactase, which has biotechnology properties. And finally, there's this one, and also this one. Wood wax. Wood wax, or waxy caps, are slimy, liquidy, oozy mushrooms. Let us start with the arched wood wax, the gray almond waxy cap, which might have antimicrobial activity, the Mount Baker waxy cap, the gold flecked wood wax, the ivory wood wax, the blotched wood wax, the oak wood wax, the olive wood wax, the matte wood wax, the blushing waxy cap, the pink motto wood wax, and the subalpine waxy cap. There's also the herald of winter, the March mushroom, this one, which was discovered in 2018, and look how slimy this one is. You also got the sticky cap, and another sticky cap, and a slimy spike cap, a rosy spike cap, and this spike cap. Wax caps. Wax caps are very colorful mushrooms. There's the witch hat, which is a pretty colorful looking witch hat, I must say, the parrot wax cap, the volcano wax cap, the Palachian waxy cap, the pink wax cap, the goblet wax cap, the rose pink wax cap, the golden wax cap, and the citrine wax cap. There's the scarlet wax cap, the yellow foot wax cap, the vermilion wax cap, the red wax cap, the crimson wax cap, the oily wax cap, the honey wax cap, and the lime green waxy cap. You also have some other colorful looking mushrooms here, the green stem pink gill and the yellow unicorn. Now, speaking of colors, mushrooms can also be used to create colored dyes. There's the bleeding tooth fungus, which we saw, which can produce shades of blue or green, the powdery sulfur bolete, which produces colors of yellow, gold, greenish to yellowish, orange, or olive. There's the blue milk mushroom, which produces a blue stain. The pigments rarely remain stable after extraction, but look at that blue color. The same goes for the sky blue mushroom, which, also, look at that blue. There's the cinnamon bracket, which produces colors of purple, the orange spine, which produces colors of orange. Here we have the artist's mushroom, which can be used as a drawing medium for artists. This mushroom right here might have analgesic, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, anti-tumor, antiviral, blood sugar, immune tonic, respiratory tonic, esophagus, bacillus, E. coli, and proteus properties. And let's just look at those beautiful drawings. They look so sensational and astonishing. Oh my gosh. This mushroom also produces a rust color. There's Dyer's polypore, which might have E. coli, salmonella, and streptococcus properties. It causes brown rot and is parasitic. It produces colors of orange, deep green, rust red, and yellow, which is fluorescent under UV light. And finally, we have chanterelles, which produce colors of yellow, and the chicken of the woods mushroom, which produce colors of orange. Japan! Japan has a lot of unique mushrooms. There's shiitake! Shiitake mushrooms might have antibacterial, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, anti-tumor, breast, cervical, gastric, leukemia, liver, melanoma, herpes simplex, influenza, vesicular stomatitis, and HIV properties. They are edible and they taste really good. Unoki! Unoki is found throughout Japan and Europe. It might have antibacterial, antifungal, anti-tumor, cholesterol, immune tonic, lung, lymphoma, melanoma, and prostate properties, and it is a great edible. The beech mushroom, which is a great edible, it's found on beech trees. Namako, which is a great edible. And finally, we have matsutake, which is also a great edible, and it's a mycorrhizal mushroom. Now let's go to Great Britain, where we have the St. George mushroom. It first appears in the UK, namely on St. George's Day, which is April 23rd. If you don't know St. George, he was a saint living in Rome, and there was a persecution of Christians in Rome, and he died on April 23rd, 303 AD, and the flag of England was derived from St. George's Cross. Anywho, the mushroom itself is a great edible, it's mycorrhizal, and every year around April, Europeans start feasting on it. Lion's mane. The lion's mane mushroom, that's a badass sounding name, let me tell you, might have neurogenesis properties, meaning they build back neurons in your brain. It tastes really good. It's a great edible. I had these, fry them in butter, and they're unbelievable. They're saprotrophic, and they have long teeth. There's also the coral tooth fungus, the tie-red tooth fungus or spine face, the bear's head tooth fungus, and the western coral hedgehog. This one looks more like ice. I call this the icicle mushroom. It's edible and parasitic. Elephant saddles. Elephant saddles have irregular cap shapes that can look like a saddle. There's the Maine elephant saddle, which is poisonous, the white elephant saddle, which might be poisonous, the fluted black elephant saddle, which might be poisonous, and the brown elephant saddle, which again might be poisonous. Parasitic. Parasitic mushrooms can attack plants, trees, humans, insects, and even mushrooms. We've talked about the honey one, but here are a couple others. This one causes ananas rot root in trees. It's native to America. This one is also native to America and it kills pine trees, and this one is also native to America. This one's native to South America. It attacks nophagus trees and it looks like golf balls. There's also this one. There's the oak bracket, which kills oak trees. It's found in North America and Northern Europe. There's also this one, which kills Douglas firs. These fungi can be a big problem, especially when they are introduced into a new environment. For instance, the American chestnut tree, native to America, was wiped out by the chestnut blight, which was native to Asia. Being able to protect and conserve trees from these dangerous fungi are important. Deadly. Let us do a quick review of all the toxic and deadly mushrooms we have talked about so far. There's the poison coral, the death cap, the destroying angels, the deadly bolete, the fool's funnel, the deadly web cap, the false morel, the false magic, the poisonous knights, and the poisonous elfin saddles. But there are also a couple more beautiful ones. St. Anthony's fire is an ergot fungus which grows on rye. St. Anthony's fire is a reference to monks who cared for victims as well as symptoms such as severe burning sensations in the limbs. Sounds fun! This mushroom may also cause hallucinations, irrational behavior, convulsions, and even death. During the Middle Ages, human poisoning due to the consumption of ergot-infected grains was common in Europe. So be thankful you're living in the 21st century. There's also Rollrim, which is also deadly. This one has an interesting story. The year's 1944 and Germany was, in a big war, and German mycologist Julius Schaffer was in the middle of picking mushrooms when he stumbled upon the famous Rollrim mushroom. Now, Rollrim was generally an acceptable edible mushroom, or so he thought. So he cooked some, and after eating it, he developed vomiting, diarrhea, and fever, and he was admitted to the hospital where he later died of kidney failure. There's also the deadly fiber cap, which has muscarine and will kill you. The deadly dapperling, which is deadly, it contains amatoxins. The chestnut dapperling, which is poisonous. The shield dapperling, which is poisonous. The deer dapperling, which is deadly. This one was discovered in 2001, and this one was discovered in 2016. There's also the white dunes cap, which I found one. It contains phallotoxins. This one, which is deadly, it contains amatoxins. The little white mushroom, which will kill you. The lead poisoner, which, holy shit, what a name. It's poisonous. It's one of the most commonly mistaken eaten mushrooms. The wood pink eel, which is poisonous. This one is also poisonous. And angel wings, which is also poisonous. Bonus section! There's the saffron ringless amanita, the orange-brown ringless amanita, Agaricus deserticola, which actually grows in the sand, the paddy straw mushroom, which I can't believe I forgot, but they're edible, the ganva coral, the club coral, the red chanterelle, which is edible, the goblet funnel cap, the apricot jelly, which is beautiful, the weeping milk cap, the bell morel, which apparently it's edible, the deceiver, which is undesirable, the amethyst deceiver, the dog stinkhorn, the branch shanklet, which has some weird drippy things coming out from its stem, this plant pathogen, the termite mushroom, which actually grows on termite mounds, and finally, the flower pot mushroom, which actually grows on a flower pot, and it's poisonous. I really enjoyed making this video. This video was very fun to make. I hope to make more videos with mushrooms in the future, and I hope more people explore this area. The biotechnology contained within these mushrooms could save hundreds of millions of human lives in so many different ways. If we want to save the environment, if we want to save the species, then we damn better make sure to utilize these mushrooms to their fullest extent.